Santanan sir, you can start.
Yeah.
Pass it over to Santanan. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharvari. Good day to all. I'm Santanan from iLenses. I'm one of the director and co-founder of iLenses, and I have 20 plus years of experience in product design and other areas. And I'm with Gaurav, the subject matter expert for environmental compliance for products. Yeah. And here is the agenda for today's webinar. We will briefly go through the introduction for iLenses and what iLenses is going to offer on environmental compliance. And we will have a deep dive on the topics that we are going to discuss today. That will be taken forward by Gaurav from UK Rochers, TASCA, skip submission, and iLenses solution, and the service for the compliance, environmental compliance requirements. And at last, we will go with the Q&A session where we can post the question and we can answer to our best. Yeah. We are a 10 plus year old company, and we are an engineering service company focused on the customer value, and we support from start to end of the product design until it gets into the manufacturing. We do support for product development, and we support on the sustenance engineering for the existing products, and we manage the project and deliver the projects for in different areas. And we have multiple different divisions, the verticals in services and solutions. In services, we have engineering and the digital. And in our solutions, we have the environmental compliance, obsolescence management, and the digital work instruction solutions that we provide. And we are located in India. Our headquarters is in India, and we have offices in USA as well. And we are around 300 plus team size, and we are an ISO certified company, and we are specifically on the medical devices. We have ISO 13485 certified company, and we are an IPC member. And our major customers are Thermo Fisher Scientific, some of our major customers, Tomco, Horiba, and Worthington. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide. These are some of the challenges and the offerings from challenges from the industry and the offerings from iLenses on environmental compliance. And some of the challenges are like, say, most of the people would be aware, like, say, getting these data from the supplier is a big pain area, where a supplier may not respond, and sometimes it takes longer time to get the data. And so we start with supporting from here the data collection for multiple different regulatory requirements, ROHS, REACH, and skip. And many a times we don't get the right data from the supplier or manufacturer. Like, say, we will be asking for X part, and the data provided would be for NY part. So sometimes we see these issues. So we validate the data, and we make sure that we are making sure that we are taking it for the right component, and we are documenting for the right component requirements. and many a times the formats that what we receive from the supplier are different. So we standardize the data and we put all these data and manage these data in a software tool called Atom, which is indigenously developed by Islandsys. And say it is a data management tool for compliance management. And say in this, we have the risk assessment part, say where the supplier, if the supplier doesn't provide the data for a specific component, we take, we go dig into the details and we will have a deep dive and make sure that for the specific component, what would be the material, and we will do a risk assessment and we will try to solve it from our end so that that is going to be a value add to our customer, because we own the complete bill of material from the customer and we will support until it gets 100% compliant, or at least we will say that say these components are non-RoHS and reach compliant so that customer can take proactive actions to get it fixed before it gets into a specific region. And uh, we proactively look for the new regulatory requirements and we will update our database very frequently. And it is going to be a continuous process as we know that there are multiple regulations and multiple requirements keep changing in the regulatory requirement side. And so from here, I will pass on to Gaurav, our SME.
Hi, thank you, Santa. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. And I'll just starting with some details on the UK ROHS recent updates. To start with UK ROHS, as post-Brexit since 31st December 2020, when the UK has a formal exit from European Union. So the UK ROHS has a separate implementation as a national implementation as a part of EU ROHS directive, and it has already been applicable from last year, like from Jan 2021. So basically, it covers Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So we have captured few similarities and differences between the UK ROHS and EU ROHS. So main similarities are something like the 11 product categories which were there in the EU ROHS are still continuing in the UK ROHS. Those are like consumer products, toys, medical products, and all those things. So industrial equipment. So those similar product categories are continued with UK ROHS. The same set of 10 restricted substances are being carried into EU ROHS. And initial exemptions till December 2020 are applied into UK ROHS. And the new exemptions post December 2020 will be carried, will not be carried into UK ROHS. So UK ROHS will have their own process of exemptions and expiry dates, and that will be implemented by UK ROHS separately. So update on UK ROHS, as C marking is a mandatory requirement in Europe, and now with the UK ROHS, the UK mark being the requirement, mandatory requirement for Great Britain. So C will replace UKCA for UK, like Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So from this is a small chart which show the time in terms of timeline. Like in terms of Great Britain, the C marking is valid till 2020, end of 2020. Like from 2021 onwards, it will accept C marking as well as UKCA. So the UKCA requirement, you can say, is it's not a mandatory, but starting from 1st July 2023, UKCA will be mandatory for all the products placed on the Great Britain market. So for the Northern Ireland, it will accept CE along with or UK NI marking. For Europe, the same EU CE marking will continue. So a small update, like from 1st Jan 2024, it will be mandatory for the UKCA mark to be put on the product till the time it may be accepted on the labels or the packaging or the documentations. Okay, so this is about UKRS short update. In between, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, or you can also put in the chat window. We will take up in between. We can take in the session, as well as at the end, we can take all your questions. Now we have a small short updates on the TSCA, Toxic Substance Control Act from the US, where the recent rule changes, which were applicable since last year, has put the industry on electronic industry basically on the high alert. So the recent updates included the 5 PBT substances which are to be banned and which the manufacturers, the article manufacturer, product and part manufacturer, to ensure that these 5 substances are not being used in their products after the deadline or the timeline is passed. So this has already been enforced since last year, 8 March, except for this PEEP, which is having extended timeline. So it restricts the companies from distributing parts which contain PBT substances, and majorly these 2 substances are basically found in most of the electronic equipments. So those are basically observed in the PCB boards, power cables, electronic instruments like electrical insulations, the enclosures, and also the lubricating products. And also a few of the substances are found in rubber products. So how does company need to ensure the compliance with TSCA? So you need to ensure you have a documented evidence, like all the parts or components being used in your product, so are not using any of the substances. So in terms of that, it's important like to ensure like the supply chain is meeting the requirements. So basically, we need to go through the supply chain and collect the data, return the documentation for a minimum of 3 years, and also importantly communicate to your customers about the presence of the banned substance in the product. So this is about the recent 5 substances, but TSCA is something growing regulation where you may see a new set of 10 substances will be getting added in this year 2022, and we expect this list to grow in a month or two, where these 10 substances will be getting added as listed here. So the yellow highlighted substances will be impacting mostly the electronic components because those are something those are being used in most of the electronic products. So we'll have a update and maybe a webinar once we have the new substances update in the TSCA. Okay, so these are the 5 substances which we mentioned earlier. So if you can see the in the first column, the PBT substance name is there, then the CAS number of the substance, what is the threshold limit of the substance. So wherever no amount is permitted is basically is at 0%. So even if the substance is present in anything above 0, it is basically the part is non-compliant with TSCA requirement and it has the obligations. And here it is a 0.3% at product or mixture level. Here it's a 1% for this particular substance. What are the common uses? So PEEP is having main use as a plasticizer, flame retardant in plastic articles. The DECA-BD is having most of the uses as a flame retardant in plastic enclosure wiring cables. The TDPP is mainly used in the fuel and lubricant as an additive. The SCBD is used in the manufacture of chlorinated solvents. Then last substance PCTP is having most of the uses in manufacturing of rubber articles. These are the restrictions timelines been specified. So as I mentioned, the PEEP is having the extended timeline. Last year around September, the EPA proposed a new rule where the PEEP, based on the industry request, it was given an extended timeline to comply, which is 31st October 24, because the industry, this is basically highly used in the industry and there is a need of time to find an alternate and replace PEEP with a new substance. Rest of the substance, the timeline is already passed. So the DECA-BD is having a manufacturing timeline was 8 March and selling or distribution timeline is 6 Jan, which is already passed in this month. TDBP is having the timeline in the Jan 2026, which is have a good time to industry to comply. SCBD is also the timeline is passed, and the last substance we also have timeline passed. So the DECA-BD and SABD, you can see this substance is used in REACH and ROHS, but you can't say that if you are compliant with REACH and ROHS, you are compliant with TSCA, because in REACH, the threshold is 0.1%, and REACH and ROHS, the threshold for this is 0.1%. Here, there is no amount permitted. So you basically have to see that is it still anything above 0%, anything present to comply with TSCA. So yeah, so we have a next update on the California Proposition 65. So which is also known as the Safe Water Drinking and Toxic Enforcement Act of 1986. Is mostly applicable for the California state in the US, where the businesses are required to provide a warnings to the products where they are having the product which is using any of the Prop 65 chemical substance above the safe harbor level, and it has any significant exposure of the chemicals to the users or the consumers. So the list of the chemicals, which is around 950 plus around, and it usually gets updated at least once a year. So new substances keep on adding. And what are the types of exposure that industry need to, or the manufacturer needs to ensure for the chemicals if those are being used in the product? So these are three types of exposure mainly need to study on the inhalation exposure, dermal, which is a skin exposure, and the ingestion exposure. So if there is any type of exposure, if one of the substances present, then it required to have a warning requirements or the warning obligation for the manufacturers for their products. So it's the manufacturers are the one who need to put a warning, and then it comes to distributors and retailers who need to ensure that which are the product they are selling. Even the e-commerce companies had to ensure there is clear warning, responsible warning requirements are met by their products when they are placing in the market. So what are the basic warning should include? One is what is the chemical name, then the reference of the Prop 65 site in the warning, the triangular symbol, and as I mentioned, the warning can also be should also be placed on the internet and the websites for the internet businesses or the e-commerce companies. So what are the things if you don't comply? It's important, like there are high penalties, which is around 2,500 USD per violation per day, and it is being there are many evidences of high penalties since last year and earlier to that. So going forward to the what is a basic warning requirement. So in the 2018, under August 2018, there was a major there was some changes in the warning. So earlier the warning before that was not requiring, it was a simple warning which do not require to specify the chemical substance name, but later on it's like in the warning need to also specify which substance is there about the safe harbor level containing the product. And also it has to, we have this warning requirement specifically if the substance is a carcinogenic or the reproductive toxin, which may have a reproductive harm. So this is one warning use example for whenever a product contains a carcinogenic substance, and this is basically a reproductive toxin specific warning. There are recent changes which are expected in the warning requirements, and the draft for the same is right now open, and it is open till for the consultation till 21st Jan in this month, and will be effective. The new warning will be effective soon. So proposed changes is to improve the short warning requirements to be more specific. So earlier, the short warning is basically when there is a space constraint. So it was allowed to put a short warnings, but uh, uh, there is a requirement, or there is a proposals to improve the more details, to include the more details in the short form warning. Then also the increase the label size from existing permitted 5-inch maximum label size to 12-inch for the warning. So along with the earlier California warning and the CA warning, a word of warning has to be also allowed. That is one thing. And when it comes to this is the link I have provided here. You can go and industry can comment, any companies or individuals can provide their comments to this warning requirements anytime. So before this deadline, basically. These are the few captured warnings from basically from the we have captured few scenarios. You can see this is a laptop which is having Prof 65 warning here, and this is also one of the laptop. This is a basically warning on the packaging. You can see here. Then this is a one machinery which is also having a warning for Prof 65 substance present. Then there is a electrical cord in its packaging. You can see a warning over here. This is also one of the example of the packaging warning, and the warning is brought into 3 different languages. This is a tubing which is used as a nebulizer, which is also having a Prop 65 warning over here. So this is all the few examples we have covered here of Prop 65 warning. So next update will be covering on the skip submission requirements. So what are the recent changes on the skip submission? So in terms of database, there was an update on which like skip database version 2.0 was released a few months ago by ICA, and which allows users to search the this database with a skip number. So the skip, as you know, like skip submission is basically mandatory requirement in the European Union whenever any particular part or component contains any of the REACH non-compliant, or it contains any of the REACH SVSC substance above the threshold, it requires a mandatory skip submission. So this database, which was released earlier, so it is open for everybody can access. There is no restriction. So even if as a company we are using any product from a vendor or a supplier, we can go and see the skip submission record, and we can search with the part number or whatever the article identity is there. It can be part number or catalog number. It can be searched. Also, recently they included a search criteria of skip number. So if you know the skip number, you can go and search the database with the skip number, where you can see the product which is for which the submission is done. And basically you can see which SVSC substance of very high concern is present in the given product up to the threshold. Yeah, so what is a process flow? This is a process flow basically we follow, and mostly it's been followed for the skip submission requirement. So as a Alensys, as we use the Atom Compliance, our own tool, so we used to get a data from the supplier or from the clients. The data is like we get a context for the supplier, the bill of material, the parts, the MPNs, whatever being used in the product. And once we screen those data for the SVSC, the substance of very high concern above, if those are containing anything above 0.1%. So in case the client already have a REACH compliance data, it is easy for us to go through it and screen them to see which are the skip reportable parts present in them. If there is missing REACH compliance details for few of the parts, we also support on data collection for those missing parts from the suppliers, and then we evaluate and see which are the parts which falls in the skip reportable based on the screening. And for those parts, we collect the skip related attributes, the defined attributes called skip, we collect it, and we create a skip dossier. We used to use the Euclid tool, which is the ICA provided tool, and now our Atom tool will be supporting the skip submission, and it will help on the system to system integration with the ICA skip database. So once the skip dossier is created as a .isxz file, which is accepted by the ICA portal, so that will be submitted, and auto-generated skip number will be provided, which will be recorded to our tool and will be also available to the client for reference. So this is how in short, the skip compliance or the skip process flow works in the Atom, where the data once we receive and how the submission goes. So this is in short, how do we support? We analyze the product, we screen them for the skip requirements, look for the skip reportable parts, then work with the suppliers, collect data, create the skip dossier, skip notification, and then in the Euclid format, we do the submission to the ICA submission portal, and we get a submission number. We also support on the regular updates. So basically there are there are updates in the BOM, bill of material, product bill of material over a period of time. So that may require a resubmission if maybe at a given interval of time, maybe after 6 months or 1 year, depends on the requirement from the customer. So we also used to do the resubmission, and we support on keeping the submission up to date based on the product changes, as well the S-Reach SVC changes. So if there are new SVCs being added to the list, definitely that may be having some impact to the existing parts, and that may go as a non-compliant with REACH, and that may require to have a skip submission. Yeah, so this is a one slide where I'll cover what exactly the Atom provides, what are the key features of Atom. So the Alensys Atom tool, it supports on importing and maintaining the product bill of material, and also the manufacturer and supplier contact details. So we store the complete bill of material along with MPN, the customer part number, the part description, and what are the MFRs. So we used to maintain a common database for the MFRs to avoid a duplication. So we have a standard MFR manufacturer name mapping into the tool to so whichever the manufacturer names being used from the customer, we map with our standard MFR names to avoid a duplication in the database, and that can be accessible to all. Sending an email request or compliance request to the suppliers to the Atom. We store the different compliance declaration documents in the different formats. We accept the full material declaration, IPC format. We also accept the supplier COCs format, or any custom formats we also accept and store into Atom. It can be PDF, Excel, or JPG, though those formats also acceptable. Regular software updates as per the changes in the regulation. So the Atom keeps on updating for any changes, like a new SVC list is getting added, or if there are new substances will be added in the ROHs. So those will be, the Atom will get on-time updates with those changes, as well as new regulations also keep on adding into Atom. Skip submission is a feature which will be enabled soon in the Atom, and Atom will be able to do the skip submission to the ECA submission portal with the system to system integration with the API available. Part risk-based assessment is a unique feature is offered in the Atom. So in case you don't have a COCs, I mean, you don't have the compliance details for the part, but you know what is the part material is. It's like it's made of steel like AISI 1040, or it's like bronze, or it's rubber, whatever. So it's basically based on the material we will able to do the risk based assessment, and we can store the data, and we can capture the compliance based on it, and that is a key feature. Compliance reporting, you can get a report in the Excel formats for your different BOMs, product BOMs, and for the different regulations can be generated. Yeah, so that's about a few details on the Atom. So, okay, any questions in between, or else I'll just quickly take you to the dashboard later. In between, any questions, we can take it now. Or if you have any question, you can put in chat windows also. Okay.
Yeah, if anyone has a question, they can raise their hand so that I can unmute them, and Gaurav or Santa will be answering the questions. Okay, Jonathan has a question. Let me unmute him.
Yeah, I think I could read you a question. What other regulations does Atom cover? UPOP, asbestos, etc. Yeah, basically, we are including the different regulation support, and the EUPOP will be included soon in the Atom. Currently, we are having REACH, ROHS, California Proc 65, TSCA, and we are also including the different versions of ROHS like UK ROHS or the California ROHS. So yes, so that's not a whenever the new regulation comes, and this UPOP will be soon included in the Atom. We are having a plan for it. Yeah, so Vignesh, I think Vignesh have a question about any ROHS or similar directive regulation for US market, Russian market, other markets. Yes, Vignesh. So there is a California ROHS, there is a UAE ROHS, and even India ROHS is there, but which is the currently it is in the draft stage, and the obligatory requirements will be released soon. And I'm not sure about Russian market, but yeah, in China also there is a ROHS requirement. China ROHS is also there. So the one common thing is the substance restricted among all the RHS are mostly same. There are changes in terms of the exemptions, and rest of the things are used to change. But most of the RHS, the 10 restricted substances, what you see are similar. Okay. Any other questions? Please, you can feel free to ask. Okay. In meantime, I will show you shortly. Will show you about the Atom screen. How does it looks like, and what are the things as a dashboard I can show you. Hope you can see my screen. This is the Atom dashboard. How it looks as a site level dashboard. You can see. So this is something. The name of the user and what is the role. We have different type of roles in Atom. Then name of the customer will appear, and then you may have different dashboard you can configure for based on your different divisions and the business unit or site location. That can be changed. You can toggle between the different business unit or locations with this option. So the dashboard will show you how many products as such and for how many bill of materials available in the Atom. Then you will see how many unique internal part numbers, that is the customer part numbers, and how many unique manufacturer parts are available. So this is a compiled count for all of the bill of materials, all the 17 bill of materials in present. As a you will see as a cumulative unique count over here. So you will see the major things which I'm showing. The important things is how many parts are compliant with ROHS, how many are compliant with EU REACH SVSC requirements, for how many parts the FMD full material disclosures available, that can be seen here. In terms of the below pie charts, you can see like it can show you how many parts are active, how many are UL, for how many are non-recurrent or new design, how many are discontinued. You can see the ROHS, how many are compliant with exemption for both of the versions of ROHS, which we call this ROHS 2 and this ROHS 3. Reach SVSC, you can see like the same, how many compliant, non-compliant. You can also see the Annexed report, which is a REACH authorization list. This is a REACH restricted substance list. Then you can see how many are having the compliance details for California Prop 65, then the Toxic Substance Control Act, and what is the FMD availability status. And we will be providing soon an option where you can add new regulations as per the requirement can be added in this pie chart. This is a product risk graph where you see the line graph indicates how many components are in the product. So these are the dummy products. You see like this is an iPhone which is having 965 parts, and the bar chart it shows the risk components, the number of risk MPNs, the manufacturer part numbers. So these are the 55 part which are at life cycle risk. So those may be obsolete or UL. So these are risk as a life cycle risk captured. Then these parts are having a risk in terms of EU REACH SVSC. So this 15 parts may have a EU SVSC substance above the threshold of 0.1%. Then we also have EU ROHS risk parts 4. Basically, those are something non-compliant or will have any of the reach ROHS restricted substances above the threshold. So as a product level risk graph, you can see here, and you can also go through and check all the different regulation specific. At the same time, you will also able to see POM specific graphs, and you can generate a report, and you can do many things with that. So yeah, coming back to the slide, in case if you have any questions, please feel to ask. Yeah, Sharvari, we have any questions to take?
It seems like no one has a question. There were some questions that are being answered by you. So it is okay. We can disconnect.
I guess Vignesh has raised his hand.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Vignesh, I can see, is Atom a paid service? If so, manufacturers, suppliers, sub-supplier need to have account, or only manufacturer alone is supposed to have account? Basically, we have not enabled the login for suppliers yet. So currently, only the compliance team from the customer will have the access to the Atom. So currently we are collecting the data, either it is through email or through, we are getting it through the supplier website or manufacturer website, and those we used to upload into the Atom. So the supplier account will be soon enabled. And coming back to your second question, which is actually first question, which is an Atom paid service? Yes. So in case if you need any to know more about the Atom, and you want to have a demo and to understand, you can reach out to us. We can definitely give you more details on it, and we'll support anything as a specific to regulatory requirements. Any special regulatory requirements you want, we can also support you on that.
Thank you, sir.
So this is the dashboard we already visited, and yeah, we are still open. We are open for questions anyone have.
Okay. If there are no further questions, say, and if you get any questions later, you can feel free to connect with us so that we can write back to you with the answers. Maybe you can note down the email ID. And anyway, the recorded session will be available soon for you to go through this.
Yes, I would like to thank all of you for joining us for today's webinar. And if there are any more questions, you can always write it to us. And the recorded webinar will be shared with you and also uploaded on YouTube in case you want to share with your team members. And for further requirements, we are open for one-to-one demo with the team members or directors. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining this call today.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Take care. Bye bye.